Hi. So one of the main features of Legion, if you ask yourself, what are the real big changes that came to Legion? One of the very things that right at the top of the list that people would say is probably artifact power grind. So there's been some movement on this. They're going to be making some changes for the next patch, 7.2 Tomb of Sargeras. Now, this is linked in with a vlog I was going to do in general, but it's a bit of a ranty one, so I'm going to keep that out. I'm just going to sort of focus on the technical aspects of it, what is actually going to be the changes. Some people may not want to hear me go off on a rant, so you can wait till the weekend for that one. So we'll just focus on what is going to change. So before I go through that, let's just look at how artifact power has worked so far in Legion. So we start off with a system whereby you would gather artifact power from various sources, and every few days you put work order in, you can get some artifact knowledge. This increases the amount of artifact power you get from those same sources. So you have a situation where you need an exponentially increasing amount of artifact power for every new trait you're putting on your weapon. But your artifact knowledge, by increasing that, is supposed to soften the blow somewhat. And that was put in, artifact knowledge is put in purely and simply as a way of creating a catch-up mechanic. So for people who can't spend a lot of time farming it, it means they're never going to be ridiculously far behind. But what has generally happened is the way people get their artifact power, because it's the only way you can actually farm realistically, is by running lots of dungeons, Mythic plus dungeons specifically. So raiders in particular, and people who actually need a high item, a high output weapon, so people are doing the hardest content in the game, have been encouraged to spend all of their free time running Mythic plus dungeons. And woe betide anyone who decided they either wanted to change class or spec. Oh my goodness. But more about that later. So what is changing with regards to that? There's a few things they're going to do, because of course in 7.2, for those who don't know, by the way, you might think to yourself, well, I've got 54 now, I'm done, I'm finished. No, you're not. 7.2, they're going to be adding new traits, of course, and there's going to be more artifact power needed. And if you look at the values at the moment, it looks like we're going to need a ridiculous amount more. People already complained about this. It was already fairly obvious that the amounts we can see at the moment on the PTR are higher than they'd actually be, because it makes sense. You start off with very high values because then you can tune it down. It's not so easy if you accidentally have set your base as too low to tune it up, because then you get a lot of people complaining. Whereas if you do it too high and then bring it down, everyone's going, oh, thanks Blizzard, brilliant, thanks very much, and they're much happier about it. So Blizzard have now confirmed that that is the case. In the next build, I'm not sure when that's coming out, maybe next week, the numbers are going to be much more like they would be at 7.2 release. But it's still going to mean more artifact power grind, and people have got images in their head of having to run more of souls over and over again. Not so. There's a couple of things they're doing. The first thing is this. They're going to... You're not going to get the same amount of artifact power for all dungeons. Like at the moment, the amount of artifact power you get for completing a Mythic Plus dungeon depends only on the level that you completed it at, and there is a cap. So you want to run more of Souls because it's really quick. You don't really want to run something like Halls of Valor because it takes a long time, not as efficient, unless you're doing it for the gear. They're going to change it so the ones that take the longest amount of time, not the ones that happen to take you the longest amount of time, but the ones that should take the longest amount of time, will reward the most AP. So something like Halls of Valor will reward the most artifact power. More of Souls will actually be, the amount of artifact power return will be reduced. They're going to reduce that. The other thing they're going to do is that it seems that they want to try and move towards a situation where you just have to run these dungeons over and over and over and over again. To incentivizing you, instead of running lower level ones lots and lots of times for efficiency, to run a smaller number of high level ones. Because what seems to be what's going to happen, I'm going to read it directly out to you. It says, in addition, we've added an artifact power bonus to your weekly chest. That's the one you get in the order hall each week, where you get like a piece of loot, the item level determined by the highest level that you completed your dungeons on. A new mythic keystone, which of course can point to one of 3 new dungeons in 7.2. There's a new dungeon coming out in 7.2, as well as Karazhan has been split up into 2 smaller dungeons. And also you would get, like, you get something for the legendary item upgrade and stuff like that. So what it says, you're going to get an artifact power bonus to weekly chest, which increases based on the highest level keystone you completed. You'll earn the largest AP bonus for completing a level 10 or higher mythic keystone. Our goal here is to shift the AP rewards from mythic plus slightly more. I don't like that word slightly, by the way, but slightly more in favor of completing higher level keystones and less towards endlessly farming lower level ones. This should also greatly increase the amount of artifact power you can earn on alts without requiring as much direct time investment. Now, I'm going to say don't even talk about alts. Who's got time for those? I mean, I don't. I have a lot of other things to do as well. But just from the point of view of the mains, now, it's very aspirational. What they've said they're going to do does not automatically mean that, okay, maybe you'll only have to complete a couple. Like this week, for example, I mean, I would have liked to have just completed a few dungeons. Okay, if someone's got a keystone to a high-level dungeon that drops a really good item for me, say a trinket or a relic, yeah, I want to be in on that. But generally speaking, I make myself available for other people because other people still need artifact power. I don't, so I'm quite content not doing that many. But I still ran a few this evening, for example, because people wanted to run those still. It would be nice if we could get to a situation where even when you're grinding the artifact power, you're encouraged more to just aim for higher level ones, do a few of those, get them out of the way Friday, Saturday night, something like that, or your off raid night, whatever, and not have to think every night that you're not doing them, that you're actually falling behind. Because that's really bad, and it's cost us quite a lot, raiders. But I'm going to talk more about that in the video I do this weekend. So those are the main changes. I'll just summarise really quickly. So you're gonna for the dungeons that are intended to take the longest amount of time, in the ones like the Halls of Valor type ones, you're gonna get more artifact power for completing those on a certain level, and the ones that are really quick and easy, like Maw of Souls, well, I say quick, we'll not say easy. Then you're gonna get less on that, and also they're gonna try and incentivize doing higher level ones rather than endlessly, as they say, spamming dungeons, boost groups, things like that, by giving you an artifact power bonus in your weekly chest, which is based on the highest level keystone that you successfully completed. So it's a step in the right direction. The reason I'm quite annoyed about this, by the way, is not because it's a bad thing, it's a good thing. If it's as they say it is, it's just the fact that it should have been like this from the beginning, and perhaps even more so, and but it's not. So we've already potentially lost some raiders from that. But anyway, hopefully this, would meet with your approval. But let me know in the comments below if anyone's got any objections to this. Certainly let Blizzard know. Obviously, it's PTR. Go to the PTR forum. It's available on their North American and European forums. And this is the time to make feedback, of course, while they're still developing things. But I think people are going to be largely positive about this. And I think raiders certainly are going to be fairly positive about this. But from my point of view, I just want to see exactly how it's going to work. Not just aspirational language. I want to see the actual nuts and bolts of it to see if it's actually going to do what they say it's going to do. But anyway, I hope you found it interesting as always. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share. Until next time, I'll see you later.